recording. Dream. First time using Zoom. Let's see how this goes. Well, actually, it's not my first time using it. It's first time using it for this concept. So I'm recording on it.
This is my first ever podcast.
Is it?
Is it?
Yeah.
And then
Welcome.
you've chosen Boundary to Boundary.
Well, saying I've chosen implies I have something to choose from. I obviously make one myself, which I just make my family listen to, where I just talk about myself and my achievements.
Yeah, of course.
But
There's already 17 viewers if you have a big family. That's enough of a base for us.
On your family, am I right in saying that your old man's an actor?
both of my parents are, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And he's just doing some light research, coming across the fact that was he in Valkyrie?
Yeah.
Sick. What? I tell you what, you're endless. Not only the most charming, the nicest bloke I've met, and now his old man's been in Valkyrie with Tom Cruise. Oh, there we go.
They're much more interesting than me. Should I get them? They can do the podcast.
No. See that again. You're playing yourself down as.
You're too polite, mate. You're too. I've just realised I meant to leave it there as a joke, but I've actually left my camera just slightly on screen. You can actually see that it looks a bit. Let me just move that slightly. We are professional. We have a good professional setup here. But
I'm very impressed.
He's got the coolest microphone. What brand's the one you've got? You've got
mine.
Yeah. You've got a proper branded one. Mine's a Samsung number.
I've got a Rode one, but it's not even work. It looks great. It's that I think my microphone defines me as a cricketer. I've got all the gear and it looks fantastic, but it's got little to zero substance and doesn't work very well. So, I mean, that's that. Are you going to do the sweet intro, Dave, that you always do?
I feel like it rolls off the tongue quite nicely.
Yeah,
so I'll go for it. Hey guys, welcome back to the Boundary2Boundary podcast with myself, Dave, Buzz, and another very special guest, which is Ethan Bamber. Welcome, Ethan. Don't do that. What he does, Ethan, I'll let you. Because Mike, one of our friends, Mike, is now our editor. Buzz makes it a challenge every week to try and catch him out by making putting names here, stuff like that, or explosions, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, I was going to say I want some fireworks going in, just like.
Let's wait and see what he makes of that. But yeah, anyway, mate, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. And you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Getting by. What about you, Buzz? How are you? We'll finish the cycle.
No, all good. I'm actually very thankful it started to rain. Yeah, I'm that traditional guy where I love the sun, but then also just that one day of rain puts me back at ease.
Yeah.
Full character.
One of the lads said to me today, I'm happy it's raining because it feels like I'm not missing out on any cricket.
Ah, there we go.
It's a good way of looking at it, actually.
That is a good Badger perspective.
Everyone, I've got a philosophy that everyone is a Badger. You know, just like badges, there's different types and there's different styles. It's people are more open about it. You know, but if you're a cricketer, you are a Badger. It's as simple as that.
Lockdown has brought out so much stats, old videos, look at pictures of me doing this. People who are always I like cricket, but I'm not a massive fan. Now they're just piling over it. Look at this knock from 2007.
Oh, exactly.
And it's
I was up last night at 3:30 in the morning watching a rerun of the England versus West Indies Test match from 2000. Yeah. With Monty bowling them out on day 5. I was like, yeah, that's when you know you're a Badger.
People grip to the 2005 2020 final. I didn't say that.
It really is. But I think what it has shown, I don't know from your standpoint as well, because you're kind of transitioning from playing cricket because you enjoy cricket now into cricket for a living, for your career. That must be quite a nice little spark for you to kind of still have that inner feeling of, oh, actually, I do still love playing this game, regardless if it's my job or not.
Yeah, I think, especially in that transition you speak of, it's very easy you become so fixated on what you want. So basically from 16 to 20 or whatever, it's all contract, work cricket, and then once that comes, and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe this. Then it's like, shit. Now I actually need to like be good at it. So now it's like getting the team in the team. Then it's like pressure, and actually to have that kind of stripped away, taken back, offers a really not necessarily a perspective that you want, but one that you have to cope with, which is that like you do realize, I think, how much you miss it, and not how much I miss trying to get into the team or trying to play at whatever level, but actually just how much you miss getting out there on the field with your mates and having that like release. And it's affirmed for me, because I think there are times I think we feel when maybe it gets lost a little bit in that cycle. Like the summers are long, or I mean, I have very brief experience of it, 2 or 3 seasons really playing like second and other cricket, but the summers are long, and like you just go from game to game to game to game, and actually to be reminded of like how fortunate you are to be able to do that for a summer and to get paid for it, but just to be able to do that on any level. I think in a couple of years or in a couple of months when we're back playing will be refreshing.
It's really refreshing to hear you say that you understand how grateful you are and you enjoy just playing the game, because like you say, people become fixated on it, that transition into making it a career, and it becomes just a chore living. And maybe that's just because you're new to it still, but I think it's fantastic that your awareness at your age to take yourself out of that situation and say, I love what I'm doing. Because people just play it because they've got the talent for it, and they just go out and find another game. Whereas you're living in that moment, I think, as well. It sounds like how you're describing it.
Well, I'm trying to. I think I played with a lot of people when I was younger who are like, maybe when you're 14 or 15, and you play club games or whatever, and all you hear people say is they're going to be a cricketer, they're going to be a cricketer, they're going to play for it, etc., etc. And a lot of those people now aren't playing, and I actually have a lot of respect for them, because they play because they were good, or because maybe their parents wanted them to play, or whatever, and it's just assumed that that's what they want to do. And actually to take a step, some of them take and be like, this isn't what I want to do. I don't want to sacrifice X, Y, and Z. Is quite a big one, I think, or equally as big a one as being like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to sacrifice. And I was really fortunate. I got into the system quite late, I think, because
what was your run in terms of how you've kind of you've got through your pathway of cricket? At what age did you decide not only this is something that you wanted to do, but this is actually something achievable for yourself?
So I went to boarding school in Cambridge, prep school. So I was in Cambridge till I was 13, and I thought I loved sport, and I thought I was really good, but I was pretty rubbish, to be fair, or like average. I was just bigger than people. Like,
humble.
I think what we'll take away from this is that Ethan will never big himself up. He will never be. He will never be the guy. I want to talk about some performances later on, but you'll always be the guy that's like.
As soon as you get your first paycheck, buy a hype man. Buy someone that goes round with you, that goes, and introducing.
I'm just interviewing myself there for that role.
Yeah, that's very
sold.
But yeah, so, and then I basically came back. We moved back to London, and we live like 250 yards from North Middlesex Cricket Club. So that's where. And I was so lucky that we moved close. But I just really enjoyed playing cricket, basically. Anyway, I can't exactly remember how it happened. It's very strange. Like there's a pathway in Middlesex. You play for like your borough, and they had just introduced it. So I trialled for Middlesex when I was like 9, when it was the old school, like you turn up in the winter.
Yeah.
Didn't get in. Went to Cambridge, came back, got into this borough system, and as far as I can remember, played like really averagely. Like I didn't do anything, but maybe because I was like, they had known me from when I was younger, because I was bigger, or I don't know. I got through to the team that played the county team, like under 15. This was, so it's quite late. Like everyone would be.
Yeah.
And we played like a couple of trial matches, and then they picked 2 people to train the next winter, and I was one of those. Again, very surprised because in one of the games I bowled 6 overs 0 for 47 and just got pongoed. And I just
Hashtag
I've never heard pongo before. That's brilliant.
Hashtag pongoed.
Can I nick that one?
Yeah,
That's brilliant.
We'll put that one across the screen. Hashtag pongo. There we go.
And
Stage directions.
And I trained, and then then that was under 15, and I think maybe there were 15 of us in that like county squad, in that training squad, and then a couple of lads were injured, so I got to play the first game, and I bowled okay, and I played that season and bowled okay, and then there were a few other opportunities, and then I got into the EPP the next winter, and maybe there were 20 people on there, and by this stage a lot of the lads who've been in since 9, under like 16, they do a big cull, and so a lot of people who had kind of been in the system suddenly weren't in the system, but I was the only one from that borough group who had stayed, and then I got a few opportunities playing like under 17 stuff, and there weren't any like blow-away performances that I can remember. Just probably like consistently there or thereabouts. And I just loved the environment. I was really fortunate that Alan Coleman, who's the academy director, Rory Coots, so Cody's now the second team coach and bowling coach in Middlesex, and Rory's head of the academy now. But I really, really enjoyed the environment. They were great.
Is that training? Is that like the training environment?
Yeah, that was a training environment. Unfortunately, like I live really close to Finchley, which is where the indoor school is.
Yeah.
And my school was my academic school was 10 minutes the other side of that. So like when you could go in the afternoons in the EPP, which was one of the bonuses, I was able to go, whereas some lads are miles away, like couldn't get in that much. So I had a lot of contact time, and like on the S&C side of stuff. And then I remember when I got put onto the academy, I was like, shit, maybe they see something. I had 2 years on the academy, and I think it was probably when I got onto the EPP, and we got this like, it's a really stupid story. Our kit, the EPP's kit, used to be like the stuff the pros didn't wear, like the spare stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember seeing this box, like we went in and I was like, fuck, I want one of those boxes.
Yeah.
The cricket stash. Always when the stash comes back.
It's not a stupid story. I have got the most outrageous cricket stash that I'm never going to wear. That just I sniff about something. Named kit is like gold dust to me. I'm all over that.
But I love it. I love it how you've said though that it wasn't until someone else kind of was saying it that you started to think that there was a potential that you could go further in the game. You know, I love the fact that you're just playing it, you know, to a decent level, to let's be honest, to the highest level at that time that you could possibly play at, not really fully understanding or almost kind of appreciating the opportunities that could come from it. Yeah. You know, I think in that, I think there's quite a beautiful, just a very platonic feel between a player and the game in that situation, and then for someone else to come along and be like, you know, you're pretty good. That's I think it's a great catalyst for you then to even push yourself to the next level that you didn't even know that you had.
Yeah, I think I'm one of the best. So I don't want to ramble. So if I'm rambling, just tell me.
No, mate, it's all about you. People don't want to listen to me talking. That's why they don't want to listen to. Feel free.
You shouldn't have said that. One of the things I'm really thankful for is I think is the fact that my parents didn't know anything about cricket. They didn't really like cricket, but they were just so supportive. And I'll talk about my brother in a sec because he's basically the reason that I think the reason I'm a cricketer. But my parents, I saw so many people at North Mid or at clubs where they're like parents push like they've got to be this. Why aren't they captain? Why aren't they? I'm coach of the team. And my parents are just like, they love me playing cricket because I enjoyed it. But if I came back and I used to get like so down, even just at club games, like if I didn't play well, just because I really liked it. But if you played well, great. I'm really happy. Here's your dinner. If you didn't, great. Here's your dinner. Like, it's just so level. And now they love cricket and like they turn it on of their own accord and like on TV. But it was just so like level and there was no pressure there. And it was
we've discussed this at length before with different players and different coaches and how the biggest influence into a young player's life is their parents because of the contact time, because and there is that risk of living through their children.
Living, yeah.
Oh my word! And it is one of the hardest things for a coach to deal with as well, because when you have a parent who is just pushing their son or their daughter to not maybe do something they don't want to do, because I'm not a lot of players still want to play cricket, but at a specific age, whether you're a boy or a girl, when it comes into our sport, there's probably a better understanding from that individual of what they want to achieve within the game, whether it be they want to be a bowler or a batter, or they might be thinking, I'm just going to be a club player that wants to play it. And having that parent, that pushy parent kind of in your face consistently and constantly is a tough battle. I mean, for you saying you're coming home performance-wise, you got your dinner. Well done. Congratulations. I had a fantastic rig when I was younger because my dad didn't feed me for 3 years because I didn't score any runs. But it's I think that balance of the player and the parent, that debate will go on for forever in sport, in every sport.
But I think it puts I think you need like a firm hand as well, and for me that came from my brother. My brother's 7 years older, Thea, and we're like super close. And he taught me to play when I was about 7, like lashing catching me in the back garden and stuff, and like he coached me, like, so to speak, and like taught me how to play cricket, and is my biggest supporter, my biggest critic as well. But he was more of that kind of like, I talk about cricket with him, or we talk about like technique or stuff with him. But I think, yes, you need that hand, but it makes it so difficult for the person if they feel they can't express themselves because their parent is talking to the coach or is angry with them. It just makes them so like,
maybe sitting so much.
There comes a point, if they want to do it, you have to make that decision yourself, because it's you who has to go to the gym, it's you who has to go and train, it's you who has to perform, it's you who has to put like, and if it's someone else telling you to do that, at some point you're going to either break or just be like, no. And I just think that like I was so fortunate that that was never a hurdle I had to jump over, because my parents were just like, you do. And if I know that if I'd come home from an academy session when I was 18, after them driving me around for 6 years and be like, you know what, I can't do this, I don't want to do this, they'd be like, okay.
And it's facilitating you to strive for your own ambitions rather than setting your ambitions for you. And it's interesting because
that's exactly literally what in the last 2 minutes you said it in one sentence.
Mate, this is the first time I've ever done that. Ask anyone that I've ever coached. I chew them for 10 minutes before I get to the point. But no, it's interesting because when I'm coaching, I see it. And cricket's one of those games where you're isolated. Whatever skill you're doing, you're isolated as part of that team. And the amount of times you see bowlers they turn around, walk back to their mark. The person behind them at either end is their parent. They're looking over to see constantly, to seek their parents' approval. And you can almost sit there and say in that moment, that player's got a ceiling here. Until they kick that person, they aren't going to progress any further because they are being driven by their parent. And they're being driven to the games anyway, but they're being driven in their careers anyway. But it's fascinating because most people will look back on that in hindsight and they say, like, once they've had a bit more time in the game, they go, actually, I was really lucky that I had that. Like I say, it's incredible talking to you now, hearing you speak, how aware you actually are. And I'll probably say this multiple times over the course of the video. You're so aware of everything around the game. That's got you to where you are even now. And I think that's an incredible trait to have, that level of awareness.
That's very kind. I think you flatter me, but like, I think fundamentally it comes down. I never thought I was going to be a professional cricketer. I mean, that sounds silly because obviously you have to have belief, but it was never like all of, I can't really
I know what you're trying to say. I know exactly what you're trying to say.
It's still a shock to me that I'm able to wake up and that's my job, if you see what I mean. And I'm very aware of the fact that it's fleeting and that it could disappear like that, either through injury or not being good enough, etc. And I think I'm just. I said to myself when I decided that's what I wanted to do, I was like, I never ever want to be someone who says I could have been a cricketer or I could have been really good. If I'm not good enough, I can accept that. That's fine. Yeah. But I'm going to make sure I get absolutely everything out of myself.
Well, the thing is, I'm lucky enough to get to see you a little bit more at the university at Exeter. And although I'm not a part of your coaching setup, and I want to talk about the high performance stuff for Exeter, but when I'm walking in there in the morning, I've walked past you on numerous occasions coming out of the gym you've gone in there at 7 o'clock in the morning. So by the time that I'm walking in the centre, you've already done your workout. And before I've done my first session, there's been numerous occasions where you're in there on your own, set up and training and perfecting a craft or a skill. Now, that in its own right, I think that leads into what you're talking about that taste and that, I can't believe I'm getting to do this. Do you think that thought process makes you want to work and push yourself that little bit harder? Because I'm lucky enough, I get to see it. And I've never spoken to you directly about this, but I know a number of players, decent players, that don't put in the additional extra shift because I know how tough and how hard you'd be working anyway. So those additional sessions that you're actively choosing yourself is a merit to both you and the ethics and the morality of what you've got as a player already.
Well, thank you. But I think, I said earlier that there were no like massive performances when I was coming through. So I'm good at what I do, but I can't afford not to do that extra stuff because I'm just not good enough. I don't have the flair. I don't bowl 95 mile an hour yet.
Absolutely. That's the key word. No, that's important you say that because
some of the lads we play with who do work so hard, but you just see them and you're like, oh my God, he makes that look easy. I don't have that. That's not my thing. I don't think I'm, I know that for me to be at the same level as someone else, maybe being okay, and to stay there long enough to get up, I have to be on top of everything, and everything has to be in line. And the other side of it is I like to feel like I like to feel like I'm doing more than other people, and so that when I cross the line, everything is in check. I know I'm fueled, I know I'm physically ready, I know I'm mentally ready, skills wise, and then because it's hard enough, like the game is hard enough, and trying to break into a county first team, blokes who see you as a threat to their career and are established like proper cricketers, I can't be walking back to my mark worrying like, am I getting a bit tired here? Or am I this? Or like, I really need to bowl to this short boundary, but I don't bowl a wide Yorker or like whatever. I don't think I can afford that at this stage. I'm not comfortable enough in my game yet to be able to be like, actually what I've got is good, is like a package.
There's a certain vulnerability of how you're actually talking here, and I think it's not something that a lot of pro sportsmen talk about, because there's a comment there. You're a young player breaking into the first team, or trying to break into the first team, which would then be replacing someone. And I think that cutthroat feeling isn't spoken about enough, because although it's a magical and it sounds fantastic, oh, I'm a professional sportsman. Well, there's only a limited amount of spaces to within every county, and you want to be playing at the best standard you want to. And then you've got the likes of someone like a Tim Murter, who is on the top of his game in terms of his craft, you must look at a player like him and think, right, not only am I going to learn so much from an individual like that, but one day I would like to kind of fill his shoes and be the next version of what he is. And
like, one of the great things about the bowling group at Middlesex is so experienced. Like, we've got obviously Mert, Finney, Rojo. Now Miguel Cummins played for West Indies.
Yeah.
Tom Helm, like all these, like such a run of fantastic bowlers. And it's so weird. You wake up and you're like, when Middlesex talk about their bowlers, there's all those names, and then there's me too. And what I was lucky, I'm really lucky enough to room in Mertz a bit, and he said, you know, the attitude you need to have is that I want your spot.
Yeah.
That's how it works, because that pushes then the group. And I think on what you were just saying about like the training and stuff, I have to expect myself, and I'm not always going to match it because I'm not as good a bowler as them at the moment, but you have to expect yourself in every training session to be on the same level as your Finns and because you're trying to you're trying to play in the same team as them.
And the thing is, when it comes to someone like yourself versus a Finn, you're two completely different bowlers.
Yeah, you complement each other rather than working against each other. And actually,
and
that's what Tim Murtagh.
Set.
Looking like someone like a Tim Murtagh, that's what he's done with. He's been adaptable enough of his game to fit around the quick. Yeah. He's not tried to bowl quick the same pace as them because he's understood the need for him as a bowler in that unit.
Exactly.
And actually, that's one thing Middlesex have been built on, is the fact they've always had bowlers of your ilk who have fitted in and around and been successful in county cricket for that reason, because they've done that job consistently. I think the main thing from what I've sort of taken from what you said there, Ethan, is that you've got a lot of humility and you're very humble and very self-aware, but actually you want to drive self-standards. And I think the key word is, if your standards are at a good level where you're happy with and you're pushing yourself and driving yourself, that will then bring that competition within those guys. I think the one thing to be wary of, I'm just sort of speaking off the cuff here, is I was always told, never put people on pedestals. I don't think you do that. Some people will look and go, this is that name, that name, that name. Actually, you're on a level playing field. Everyone's on a level playing field. You're only as good as your role in that team. So you'll be one week where you'll go out and get a fifer and you'll feel on top of the world and you'll be, I mean to be here. The other weeks when there's getting pumped all over the place, but it doesn't mean you're any less of a player than you were when you got your fifer. So it must be difficult in the environment you're in, because you're surrounded by these massive names. You're going, I watched you play. But actually, this is the level you're at now without realising.
I think it's funny because, like, even within myself, there's definitely two halves to it. And I still, because I'm quite, I remember our club academy used to train at Finchley after the Middlesex Academy when we were like 14. And I used to wait in the car. I knew who was on the Middlesex Academy. I used to wait in the car until they'd all left because I was too nervous to like walk down the stairs either. Because oh my God, they're on the academy. And like definitely when I like joined, like started playing second team and stuff, I was like that. And it is still a bit like, oh my God, Stephen. But then actually it's testament to those guys and their personalities and just how down to earth they are and how keen they are to pass on what they know and to help you try and be the best that I can be. Certainly within the bowling group, that's what I've like experienced.
Well, the reality is that you know, I think, you know, it always gets carried away, and it's the one thing from a coach's standpoint you want to always try and remember, that they're just blokes. They're just normal blokes, and they're sat in the same position. They'll have the same anxieties, the same thoughts,
the same anxieties, the same questioning themselves, the same bad sessions, the same good sessions, all the same. They've just done it more consistently.
Yeah.
Like that is so. I think one of the things that I've been lucky that they've been very open about is that like, it's a very natural progression, or like it's a pathway that everyone goes to, and they are the people. That's not to diminish, you know, their achievements, but they're there to be learn from, respect of course, but also to be pushed and challenged and all those things.
Well, like you said, like what you said earlier, you know, as much as you can take away and learn from these players, by you becoming better and by you threatening them, it is only going to push them to another level. So it can't, and in a team based season, that's only going to get the best out of an entire attack. And if you've got the capabilities to mix and match your bowling attacks, that's when a team can be its most dangerous. When I look at Middlesex and I look at where you get to play cricket consistently now, what kind of feeling did you get when you were able to kind of strap up and bowl for the first time, in an environment such as Middlesex's home ground?
Like, it's extraordinary actually. And so every year they play like an MCC schools-esque game there. Mm-hmm. And I was really lucky. I played for the MCC in that when I was 16, and that was just the most daunting thing. We played like right on the top strip, like a 20-meter boundary. There were about 11 people there. It was like the 9th of September. It was freezing, and it was just the most. I don't even remember bowling because I was just like looking around.
Yeah.
And I actually think I was really fortunate that my debut wasn't at Lord's, and was actually at Northampton, which great ground.
Complete opposite to Lord's.
I was going to say you've gone very political there, but both Dave and I can go. It's not as good as Lord's. Sorry.
Yeah. Let's be perfectly frank. Let's be perfectly frank.
Offers different a different ambience.
Look at that.
Very good. That
was very, very, very well put.
I was even slightly overawed by the kind of 15 men and their dogs who were watching that game. So I think I was lucky that it was there. To play at Lord's it's very strange, because then it kind of becomes like a bit of a... it never becomes normality, because every time you walk into the change room, you got to walk through the long room, and you're like...
Yeah.
But once you've played there, like, you then know you're there to do a job. So like, you come out of the change room and you get onto the pitch, and then the pitch is the same as every other pitch in the country. Like, you just got to bowl.
Yeah.
It's more when I'm fielding, I get a bit distracted. I'm like, oh, that's
cool. In fairness, it's interesting you say that, because one of the best comparisons I could compare it to is the Brazilian football team. So I don't know if you've ever saw Yoga Bonito back in the day, when basically like it was all based around a style of play that the Brazilian footballers play. And they just play the way they would do if they're in the streets of Brazil or playing on the beach. And they put him in any environment, but they're going to play the same way. And that's why the likes of Ronaldinho was so successful in the past. And they're slightly off track, because football's football to them. The game is just the game. And I think once you take it, like you say, you look around, once you take it out and it's just another pitch, you're just playing another game of cricket, whether you're in the park against your mates or whether you're with the home of cricket. Yeah. Actually, I think when it comes to normality, that's a good thing, because that shows when you're comfortable in that environment. I mean, all the time, you're breathtaking when you walk in or when you're warming up or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
The more normal it becomes, the better, because that's when you feel the sense of, right, I deserve to, or not deserve, but I'm
and it's that sense of that historical feeling around there as well. Everyone knows it's that, the visual will kind of fade away, but I think that internal and that historical feeling, and you used the word ambiance earlier, and it is, there is a feel around Lord's, and there is a feel around it.
It's energy, yeah.
So, is there a particular end that you prefer bowling at?
A few people have asked me this. I still am really...
Depends on the batsman.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoever's not whacking it.
Wherever I can get a gig, really. No.
That's what I say about a Sunday friendly game. That's not what I say about playing at Lord's.
I don't know. I think I've bowled a little bit wide from the pavilion end, because I'm worried about getting too straight. I think no, I don't.
There you go.
That's the first go around in circles. That was the first example of that. But I'm interested to see Ethan, is what do you think drives you? Because obviously you said that you've sort of you don't think you've done the performances that you would have liked to by that point when you first broke into the EPP, or I think that's how you said it. What's your driving factor? Is it in yourself how well you're playing? Is it the wickets you're taking? Is it, I don't know, what drives you? What's your sort of reaffirmation that you're in the right place at that time?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I think as ever, it's a combination of things, because like it's a performance-based business, and if you play 14 championship games and you take 85 wickets, people are going to say you've had a good season, and you could feel that you've bowled bang average, but actually, on one side of things, you've been effective, you've done a job, and so I think for me, the word that I keep trying to use in my head to myself is have I been effective? So have I been effective either for myself in terms of from a statistical point of view, and then from like a personal feeling point of view, because I mentioned earlier, like you play so many games in the summer, it's 6-month season, and you feel it's tough, like physically you don't always feel good, but if I can walk off the pitch and know that I've done a job for my team, and that often in my role that could be 20 overs 2 for 40, there are hopefully going to be days in there when that's a lot of wickets, when you feel on and you've got to be like, right now I've got to be ruthless. But I think it's so easy to fixate. There's so many variables in cricket. Like, it's so easy to fixate on numbers. Like, you can move a slip out, bowl a jaffa straight through, or a drop catch. And I'm not blaming other people, but like,
you're too nice. Someone drops a catch, spray him. No, I'm joking.
No, but it's so if you're just like, how many wickets did I get today? How many? Because there's going to be days when yourself you didn't bowl as well as your figures reflect, and there's also days when you know you bowled a lot better.
Cricket doesn't allow, the stats doesn't allow the hard yards sometimes to be seen, and I think some people, you get lost especially in the longer format. There's spells of play which can win or lose a game, and that doesn't necessarily reflect in the numbers. Those spells of bowling where you stick in a shift 6 overs, and it might be none for 15, but in that one set of spell, you've created a pocket of pressure, which has increased the run rate by X amount. And I think cricket gets lost in that.
Or the bloke at the other end's got 2 for. And like in 2020, you could bowl 3 overs for 45 and be chucked the ball in the last and feel shit, and then feel crap.
Don't apologise. Don't apologise to him, mate. It's fine.
Be chuck the ball in the last over and have 8 to defend and go for 6. You've bowled 4 overs for 51. That is woeful, but you've won the game.
Yeah. But I think this is why. Those people who play cricket, who are within cricket and understand the sport, I think that is why we're obsessed with it. I think the game is ever changing. The game is always evolving, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how if you flip that around, you could have bowled 3 for 15 in 3 overs, and you need to defend 15 in the last over, and you go for 16. Exactly. And then you look at your stats and you go, "Oh, I've bowled 3 for 30. That's not too bad." No, you lost the game.
I think that separates the best and the worst players, because on the selfish players against other players, because some players will turn around and say, yeah, but it wasn't my fault because look at my stats.
That's such a good point, Dave.
Because the amount of times, especially in age group cricket, you see that. You see people taking 4 for 50, and someone else the other end goes 0 for 20.
Especially at the end of the year.
Exactly. And they might come on and clean up the tail, whereas actually the person in the middle that, like you say, done the hard yards. I love the way you talk about stats, because don't look at my batting average, because I'm obviously better than the average. The average isn't a reflection of me. But that's the best thing. You can hide behind it. You can hide behind and say, oh, yeah, you didn't see it. I got Jaffa every week.
And actually, there's an example. So at the end of last year, I thought I was bowling really well, and I wasn't getting in the first team, and I was really frustrated. And I spoke to our coach, and he said, I want to see you take more big hauls. Like, I want to see you be really ruthless. And we were playing Essex in a second team game, and like the first team game was starting in a couple of days, and it was an absolute green top. One toss bowled, and I was like, right, we're in it.
Get in it, yeah.
I got a couple early, and it was quite a young team, and like there's a bunch of us young like pros who are really, really close, going really well. And one of the lads was captain, and I was so, because I was pretty annoyed with the whole situation, and I was so selfish, and I was like, I'm getting fives here, and you're not taking the ball out of my hand. I reckon I bowled outside lunch 15 sets, and my first 7 overs were maybe like 3 for 10, and then I just started getting whacked. I don't know what, because I was just searching. And I was like, I am bowling because I'm getting these wickets, and I'm looking, because just so I can boost my ego, I have the very few like 5 for balls up, and I ended up going. I got my 5 for, but 32 overs, 5 for 120. Right, so I got,
but to be fair, like you say, but then that's that inner drive you talked about earlier.
But sorry, that's an example of saying that wasn't what the team needed.
No.
Yeah.
In that second batch of 7 overs, I reckon I went to 6.5 at least, and didn't take, because all I cared about was wickets, and that's not what my job in that first team would be, and that's not what the coach should have wanted to see from me. And yeah, it was great because I could walk in and be like, yeah, I got 5 for that.
At the time, did it dawn on you after the game at the time or were you so like, right, I've got my 5 wickets, that's it, I'm happy, or did you start to think about it in hindsight, like straight away?
No, I knew pretty much straight away. Like I could feel it as I was doing it, and I felt pretty bad.
But that shouldn't fall on you. As from, obviously, I'm looking from a coach's perspective, and I think it's impossible to quantify someone. You're not being picked because you're not getting enough big hauls. That takes away from the process. That's looking purely at the outcome.
Yeah,
and sometimes you need to appreciate the process.
Yeah, I've taken that slightly out of context. Like,
I've taken that
slightly out of context in terms of I know that there was more to what he was getting at there. But basically, so my point was.
I get it. Sorry, I didn't want to confuse it.
I just wanted to make a point, and I thought the way of doing that was through stats. And actually, that's not my role. That's not the role like what you were talking about earlier. That's not my role in that first team if I play.
Is it when as being a fast bowler? And boy,
I'm pretty fast.
Yeah, to be your full title, a rapid opening bowler.
Thank you.
When you're with your mindset and with your aggression, are you the sort of bowler that gets more angry at themselves in the situation, or can you kind of take that focus and put it to the external, to the batter, to that situation, to boost your performance?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something I struggle with, because if I'm bowling well, I won't say anything. I just like smirk like a bit of an.
Well, I played. When you were playing club cricket for Exeter, and you came down to Exmouth, and you bowled from the C end, you bowled Exmouth out. I think you got 5 for spit, and people were walking past and going, "Oh, who's that lad?" And they're like, "Ethan, you plays." So, as you say anything? No, you didn't say anything all day. You literally, you were playing in a standard that you were better than. Okay, well done, Devon Prem. Get over yourself. There's some good players in there, son. But yeah, you didn't say anything.
Buzzton isn't over it. Buzzton isn't over it. You can tell there's definitely some bitterness there.
But you didn't say anything. You probably bowled for 45 minutes.
The silent assassin.
It was, but you came in and you just went dink dink both ways. See you later. And I just, I've always thought about, and knowing you personally, you're such a lovely bloke. Do you struggle with not being that? The first face that comes to mind is like that Dale Steyn. Granted, he bowls at 90 clicks, but he's so in your face and so aggressive.
I think the second answer to that is that when I'm bowling badly or when I'm not happy with something, I get very chirpy, and we go quite hard in nets. You encourages like a real competitiveness, and a couple of times this winter I've crossed iron and said stuff, and so but that comes from a personal frustration, and one of the things I want to be able to do is control that and exactly use that as a focus rather than because firstly I'm not very funny, so anything I try and say if
I
I
think you're doing yourself a disservice there.
Do you know what? You reminded me of Hugh Grant when he talks about himself acting. He's like, I'm not a very good actor, I suppose. I just carry on doing what I'm doing.
But no, let's be honest, right? If I bowled a ball at you, yeah, and I said something to you after, what, you're just gonna be like, I'd lie.
But there is a.
Well,
who knows? You say maybe when you get the big beard coming in, which you're growing through in the isolation stage.
We need another year of lockdown, and then yeah.
I was going to say,
get the old watering can out and just start trying to.
But I try because your original question was whether it's like internal or external. Yeah. It's very much frustration at myself that comes out, and one of the things I've tried to work on is like my body language, because one of the things the lads say to me is it's very obvious if I'm bowling well or badly. They can see just from the way I carry myself, and I have a lot of self-belief in like what I can do, but I get very frustrated if I don't feel like I'm living up. Not living up. Like I'm performing at the level that I should be.
Comes back to standards, isn't it? You have a standard you expect from yourself, and when you drop below that, you get frustrated.
I expect myself, but actually, it is competitive sport, and people prey on that. And if you let your guard down, if that's not part of your game, for some people, aggression, chat, and stuff that really like gets them going, fires on. But if that's not part of that, and if you can't control that, then it's going to hinder and get in the way of your performance. And so one of the things I'm trying to do is, I read like Stuart Broad when he walks back from his mark, he always looks out of the stadium. Hard to do when you're playing second team game at Radler and there's only trees, but I just but just even that, and just being like, right, now we reset and go again. And so I think trying to use it, and there are times I think when actually chat and aggression is really good, and especially when in long format, if it's drifting a little bit, sometimes you just need to like get something going.
Well, you need a spark, don't you? You need a catalyst, whether that's for individual performance or team performance. I think sometimes well, definitely, and I think bowlers sometimes forget when wickets are, when they're hard to come by, those hard yards, and there's still a job to do. You can't let the game slip away just because wickets aren't coming easy. No. And cricket isn't designed for bowlers to be successful all the time. And cricket's not designed for batters to score runs all the time. There's got to be that hard, that graft, that grit that comes with it. And definitely that verbal inspiration, we'll call it, whether it be aggressive, whether it be comical, whether it be something just for someone to think about. And there's been multiple games in the field where there's quizzes going on, there's and things like that. And without a doubt, that is again another part of the unique aspect of what cricket gives as a sport.
I think there's two parts to it that I can see, and I think the first part is that when you get to that top level, that as a bowler, your margin for error becomes so small. Not just in terms of where you got to pitch the ball, but also the fact you will bowl against batsmen at times when they are just you just watch them and go, I don't know how to get them out. There's times when you will bowl. I imagine obviously you know a lot better than me, even. You'll just run in and bowl, and you'll be trying, and you'll bowl your absolute jaffa, and they'll either defend or they'll miss it or whatever. So I guess it's that science. But also, I want to take you back to, we talk a lot to players and people that listen to the podcast about understanding yourself as a player, and I think it's really important that you understand yourself and what drives you, and that as soon as you slip into that territory of engaging in chat with the other team, you start to get that aggression coming through. That's because you are not performing to levels and the standards you expect from yourself. So actually, just because we see that and we think, right, all fast bowlers have got to bowl with aggression, actually, you understanding that you're at your best when you're not thinking, you're not being aggressive, you're just running and hitting your lanes. It's worth people at home thinking that same way as well.
I think, absolutely. I think it, one of the things I always try and do is bowl aggressively. But what is aggressive for me is different. It's the way It's the way I bowl. What's the intent that I have every ball that I bowl, and it's so obvious when I bowl with and without aggression. But that aggression doesn't mean just like abusing blokes. I don't think I've played enough league.
It's a mindset, isn't it? It's a mindset and mentality.
Yeah,
aggressive mentality is about executing your skill consistently well and being positive. And we talk about positive cricket all the time. And actually, aggressive is an aspect of playing positive cricket. So I think you've summed that up perfectly there. Just because we talk about aggression doesn't mean it means you're in your face threatening to fight everyone. Not everyone bowls like Ben Stokes. There's not everyone is Ben Stokes. Other people are a lot more measured.
Yeah, and like, especially for someone like me, like that cliche of mother cricket. Last year I played a club game against Richmond, I think, and they're overseas, whatever, who's meant to be quite a good player. And he's played it, missed them one. I said something to him like, yeah, drive that next ball. He two-stepped me and hit me for 1 mile forward my head, and I just felt like an idiot. Like, it was by you. Like,
pick your battles. Well, as soon as the number 10 comes in, start whizzing them past his head, and then go, yeah, play that. Not the number 3 that's the overseas. It's a jet.
Yeah, like, and I'm not. I'd rather have used that energy in a more positive way, I think.
Since you broke into the first team at Middlesex, what's been the time you've been most challenged? Because obviously that links to the point about someone being positive and coming at you. Has there been a time you can pinpoint, whether it's bowling at a batsman, whether it's batting against someone? Has there been a time when you felt really challenged in that environment?
Yeah, we played. So I played like 6 games at the back end of 2000 of like last season gone.
19. Was it 19?
No, sorry.
No, 2018.
2018.
Yes, that's when I broke out. I played 6 games back to back. It's really lucky. On pretty conducive wickets, with nice ball, like low scores all year, etc. Went okay. Last year, they brought the heavy roller back in, changed the ball, scores were a bit high, etc. And I struggled more. It took me longer to get into the team, etc. And we played Sussex at Lords, and I played, and we got rolled for like we got put in, rolled for 130. They got 570, and I hadn't bowled very well in the morning. And I came out after lunch. We had new ball, and it was like Ben Brown was maybe on like 40, and Van Zyl was on like 130 not out, and I just
not the worst pair to be at the crease.
I had Ben Brown dropped at slip, and that was one of the examples I was so frustrated. And I just think he's an unbelievable player. The way he changes tempo, and he's so weird to bowl at. Like, so he literally he was on 40 off like loads of balls, just batting normally. And he obviously either noticed something in me or in the game situation, and he was like, right, I'm gonna make a move here. And for about 3 overs, he just basically tried to whack every ball, and I was like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. I didn't know where to put the field out, bring him in, and I felt completely toothless, because I was running in, trying to bowl as fast as I could, as aggressively as I could, and it was just like he was going, well, I'll just hit that over there, and I was just like, oh my god. And then
is there a point in that situation where you feel quite isolated, where when you think to yourself, right, I don't really know my next step? Is that a time where you kind of look to the skipper, you look to the more, the senior bowler, and just go, might need a little bit of help here?
Yeah, I think it can be a really vulnerable place. Because ultimately, like, you're then the one who has to bowl the ball.
Yeah.
And if you feel like, and I did feel at that time, or there's a period later in that game just before they declared, and Van Zyl was still batting, of course. And
he bats long.
Yeah, and you try, like, I'm into like over number 30, and I thought I was, oh yes, that's a good ball, and it would just come like back, like it would be a dot, but it would just be like drilled at mid off, and it was just like, oh my god. And you do feel really vulnerable. Well, certainly I did, because I think partly because I don't yet feel comfortable in my spot in the team, and because I don't necessarily have a massive amount of experience to fall back on. And the other guys are great, but I think that is, and they're very supportive, but that's an experience you do have to go through.
I was literally about to say that from that one game, from that one situation where you're running in and you're feeling like it's an uphill battle every day, every ball, and you just brushed over the point. You say it's like your 30th over. Like, it's a lot. Physically, it's so demanding, and mentally, it's such a tough thing.
Yeah.
But you've now done that. That is now a part of you, and that's a part of your game. That's a part of your blueprint and your experience. And the next time you're in that situation, whether it be against the same team or a different team, whether it be home or away, you can always look back on that and go, right, well, I've done that. It didn't kill me. We go again. We move on. And
you're better for that experience, aren't you?
100%. 100%.
And I think the time maybe, obviously you want to find something effective on the field at the moment, but probably the time for the advice and talking about it comes a bit later. It's actually you're the cricketer. You're on that pitch. You've just got to find a way. Oh, and sometimes you won't be able to. And I didn't on that occasion. And we walked off the pitch, and I felt rubbish. But I know there's things I took from that, which now, if that happens again, I'll be able to recognise, hopefully. And
it's that sense of accountability. Like, you took that as some, like, it comes back to the conversation about who's a team player and who's not a team player. You took that accountability as part of the team and said you'd let the team down your role. Others might sit and go, I bowled well. You got 570, but I bowled well. And actually, that's one of the key attributes that separates players, like we speak of again, the ones that have that set that do the best for the team. Like, you're part of a bowling unit, and if a team scores 570, regardless of the wicket and the batsman, that's multiple people haven't contributed in an equal way.
Yeah. So let's flip it then. Let's flip it. And has there been a time where you've stood at the end of your mark, and obviously, against whomever, and just thinking, I've got this. I've got it on.
I'm gonna get you out. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's too nice. He'll be like, no.
I know he won't.
I'm on 7 wickets in the match, but I'm still not bowling well.
No, I think, yeah, I think there's a time when you stand, there have been times when you get the ball and you're like, and I've only just maybe started to, there's only been a few occasions, but when you're like, yeah, actually, I do belong here, and I can. They've looked to me.
Yeah.
Like, I hate it when people say, like, "Oh, it's amazing you're playing. You're so young," or like, I'm not that young, but like, and you're like, "Oh, great, thanks." But when we played Sussex, I don't want people to say, "Oh, it's okay because you're 20."
You did well for someone. You don't want to be like, he did well because of someone of his age. You want to be on the set. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm there, and like I was really, really fortunate last year because it was a pretty tricky season through the middle. I wasn't really getting the team at all. I went on loan to Gloucester. They didn't really have any bowlers, and I was very fortunate to go into that environment. And basically, they were like, "Here's the ball," because I turned up the day before the game, trained, played. I knew I was playing. Bam, here's the ball, bowl. And we only had 4 bowlers, so I was going to bowl whether I bowled well or badly.
Yeah. Did that make you feel more relaxed knowing that there was potentially not that competition in the team at the time in that game, that you knew you were guaranteed overs, or did you still feel like, I've got to make an impact here?
I was really nervous about kind of obviously wanting them to think that I was there, because when you go on loan, even though you're doing them a favour because they're struggling players-wise, I felt very much like they were doing me a favour because I was able to...
Well, it works both ways, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, it works both ways, but it's almost, I was just going to touch upon having, because at a young age and going through different pathways and now playing for a couple of different teams, what's it like working with different coaches and working with different captains and different philosophies, and filtering that in for yourself?
Well, I think one of the hardest things when you're coming through when you're younger is you have so many different points of input, and actually you have to work out what works for you. One of the hardest things is, because I would be disappointed if any coach has said to young people anything that they thought that wasn't coming from a good place, but it's not always the right thing for that person. And so one of the hardest things from a player's point of view is to work out what's right for them, what things work for them.
Fantastic point.
And just trying to like filter it. And, I'm lucky there's a few people who I always go back to. who I know, because they either know me from very young or who I trust. And I feel like they're honest and they understand. And it doesn't mean I agree with everything they say or I listen to everything they say, but they're people who I'll go back to.
But you've built that kind of rapport. So, you know, I think, you know, we've spoken about this quite openly as coaches.
Yeah.
When you've got that rapport, you're able to give the hard truth a little bit easier. You're able to say, look, did you know you're doing this? And those conversations at times, they're not easy conversations. And I think players can kind of get stuck into a mindset of, I'm doing it this way because I know it's going to work. And then you've got three people going, yeah, you're right, or I don't know, or no, you're wrong. Yeah. Like you said, you've got a kind of, there's no one going to be holding your hand and saying, oh, you should listen to him or you should listen to her. You know, that's a pathway you've got to go for yourself.
Agreed. And I think it's the key word you mentioned there is honesty. And I think it comes down to honesty and trust, because those relationships are built over time. It's interesting you said the coaches you go back to are people that have known you from before at the start, and the ones that you built that trust and that honesty with over time. Like when you're having a conversation with someone, if you agree with everything they're saying, that's counterproductive half the time, because you're only taking their opinion. You, as a coach, obviously I'm putting my own perspective on it now. My role is to help that player develop themselves. And I can't do that without having input from them. So if they just sit and nod and go, do you know what? Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. That's just my perspective of what I think is right. They need to tell me.
If someone says to me, you know, I think we should work on this, great, I might agree, but I want to know why. And or I might not agree, but if you can explain to me why, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, and you challenge them.
But I don't, otherwise it's a waste of everyone's time, because no one's bought into anything. You're just faffing around.
What did the coach... Go on, sorry. I was going to say, Ethan, to cut you off there. What did the coach that you best resonated with do that? What worked for you?
Was from a bowling perspective, there's one person I go back to a lot, and they are Middlesex, as it happens. And for me, he's dead honest. And we have pretty tough conversations sometimes. And it's just one thing we go back to all the time is that, like, the line of what we're working on doesn't look like that. Yeah. It looks like that. and those curves then I can take, because it you know that the overarching journey is like a forward moving one, but it's
been laid out to you clearly, so you know that there is a bigger picture. There is an end goal, but it's the process getting there. Yeah, I think there's a question I'll ask at the end. I won't ask it yet because I'll give you a chance to think about it. Buzz and I always ask people to say, if you've got one bit of advice for someone growing up, or what was the best bit of advice you've ever given? So I think about that. Hold on to that, because it may be that point, because that was fascinating. Sorry to cut you off, mate, if you remember what you were going to say.
No, it was just that when I went to Gloucester, like I knew Dorsey was a coach there, because he'd done a bit with the 19s, and it was refreshing for me at the point I was in the season, which was like I overthink stuff a lot, and I wasn't getting the team, and didn't think, you know, am I doing this right? Am I doing this, etc. And when you get there, you know, you have the day and then play, and he was just like, he hadn't seen me through that season at all. Obviously, like, knew he had spoken to people in Middlesex, otherwise they wouldn't have signed me for that loan period. But just go and do what you do, and you're just like, oh shit, like now I'm here, and now I've got a bowl, and like there's the captain, and he's never seen me bowl, or like I played against him once last year, but like now he needs me to bowl 20 overs, so I better just go.
It's kind of, you're being dumped in the deep end, so to speak, but it's also, you're almost kind of thrust upon that seniority. You're no longer the 20-year-old kid who's can kind of not hide behind, but kind of have that safety net underneath you. You are right. You're our attack. You're going to be a part of our spearhead. Go take me a wicket. Okay.
I think that's still a mindset thing as well, because some people may still think, oh, well, I'm young, so I've got a chance to make mistakes. But it sounds like you were in that mindset of, right, this is my opportunity. I'm not going to leave anything down to excuses and say, well, I could have done this, but I didn't. You're just going to take it and run with it and be that senior player, which is fantastic. So you're going to say.
And I felt maybe stupid, and I'm sure no one else felt this. whenever you come into a side like that, I think you kind of feel like, not like an overseas, but like, like I'm coming in here. I've got to make a point. It's like when
On the gun.
when a new manager comes in and footballers always play better for it. It's like, and when you're at a club for like 2 weeks, you just pop in. I was really lucky. We played in 2 great games, which we won. So I saw the best. I got like the best little snapshot possible, and then I came back to the sex, so I'm comfy. But it was really important for me that. Anyway, yeah. So I
I love the fact that even though you're short into your career, you're smart enough to see the work and what you've got to do to make the career, your career last for as long as you possibly want it to, and what it can do. You're starting to see different elements of your game and of your profession. I think people can get a sheltered view of what a pro's life is. Yeah. And, you started to talk about how, number one, it's not an easy ride. It's not just, you go from your club and you go from the 2s to the 1s and then you become this superstar. That's the end goal, and everyone wants that goal, but that goal is never the same way. Going on loan, you get to learn, you get to play at different players, you get to listen to different people speak, you get to listen to how the other approaches, and that is only going to be a positive for you. And it might have been at the time a negative feeling like, I've got to go play for a different team, but actually there's only positives that can come from that situation. In what from my viewpoint of that, I was going to say my experience, then like I've just been shifted off.
Well, you never know.
Well, you never know. And I would have made it if it wasn't for my dodgy knee. No, but the best thing about that is, and from a bowler, and from the type of bowler that you are, it makes you craft it. It makes you know your game a little bit better, and I think when you've got a skill set like you have got, and I wanted to kind of touch upon this in the different formats, at what points are you now starting to develop or change your game to each format, whether it be 4-day, whether it be 1 day or 2020? Are you starting to shift towards one sort of direction within your game to focus on, or do you still have ambition to be playing every format possible?
No, I want to play every format, definitely. I think at the moment the way I bowl is more suited to the longer form, but I'm very keen that I don't pigeonhole myself.
Yeah. Have someone had that conversation with you about like how can you forge a role for yourself in the white ball teams as well?
And so one of the things I absolutely love is bowling with death. And one of the things I think what people seem to say about my 4-day bowling is that it's the consistency, etc. I don't see why there's any reason why accuracy can't translate from red ball to white ball. If I can land the ball top of off with red ball, I can land the ball on the wide line with white ball.
Yeah,
and I can be just as accurate. And so that is what I'm trying to be. I'm just trying to make myself as multi-dimensional, as skillful as possible. That may take a lot of time. But I want to be someone. I've tried to be someone in the longer form who's reliable. I want to be someone in the shorter form who's reliable. And there's going to be a lot more up and downs in that, just because of the nature of the game.
Yeah,
Luke's going to get hold of you, whatever. But if I can be someone who they can go, we've got 2 overs from him, or whatever. I actually find it much easier bowling at the death in white ball cricket than I do bowling in the middle, because at the death it's like so clear. So this is what I need to do. I either need to defend it, or like bam, here's my field, bam, 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 here's my plans. Whereas in the middle, sometimes I get lost a bit between am I bowling length, my bowling change ups, whatever. And so that's one of the things that I'm certainly working on.
You have clarity of your plan, don't you, at that stage?
And actually, we were really lucky last year. Dimmy Mascarenas was the 2020 bowling coach, and he was all about just simplicity, like stripping it back. He was like, people used to think I bowled all these slow balls. I literally bowled maybe one slow ball a game. It was all just about consistency and executing what I did really, really well. And I think that's something I tried to pare back last year. And actually, towards the end of like the second 11 1-day stuff, did a bit better. And I've got a long way to go before I get anywhere near the team, but I genuinely believe that I've got something to offer.
Love that.
That's a great mentality.
I love to hear that. And I love to hear the fact that, you know, with everything that's going on, someone like, you know, Masquerade, with all his achievements, can just talk about simple plans and just being, you know, having the capability of executing the best things that you do as a player. You know, because at the end of the day, when you start to try and find your way or try to be a player that you're not, the chances are you're not going to hit the levels that you know you can do.
You also overcomplicate things, and you play your best cricket when things are simple, and it's fascinating, especially the white ball game. People are trying to find these crazy, quirky plans, but it all comes from a place of consistency. And like you say,
the opportunity is so slim there. You know, Ethan, you mentioned about, you know, I can do that 2 over job. Like 2 over, like if you just think you get an opportunity, you train your ass off, and then you go, right, maybe someone gets injured, or, you know, a pitch or a condition goes into your favour, and then you've got 2 overs to prove your point. You've got to be ready, and you've got to be set to go, yeah, give me those balls, because those 12 balls, I guarantee you, I'm going to be hitting what you want 90% of the time, and you can trust me.
You don't have a second or third spell or whatever. Or
so yeah,
and that's kind of quite refreshing just to know that, I think. And one of the, like, my ambition is to play Test cricket. That for me is still the pinnacle. I just don't. And people say, well, you don't bowl fast enough to play 2020 or whatever. But, you know, I'm 21 years old, and I'm
develop a lot.
I hope to have, you know, a career ahead of me. I'm not
a great beard.
Why would I sit here and say, oh, I don't want to play 20, or like I'm just gonna focus on that? And yes, like absolutely, that at the moment that's my strength, and I have to keep improving that and making that as good as it can be. There's no reason why other aspects can't develop around that, even if that's a longer term kind of progression.
I just want to draw you on the experience, because you mentioned the under-19s World Cup and playing representing England with under-19s. How was that experience for you, and how did that help with your county game? Because we spoke with Adam Ball yesterday on a podcast, and it can almost be quite detached from what is professional cricket, because he described it as you have all this, you get given all the stash, you're in this little bubble of a camp, but actually you're not. It's not the hard slog where you're up against seasoned professionals in the county game. What was it like for you?
Yeah, I think looking back on it now, it was an amazing experience, and that's what it was. If that, so as soon as it finished, it doesn't mean anything in professional cricket. Like, to professional cricketers, everyone was lovely about it, and it's a great affirmation to you that people think highly of you. It's actually a funny story about how I got into it, because they pick the team, and then they pick a bunch of reserve blokes, but they don't tell them. They scanned, when you're a bowler on the 19s, you get scanned, like your back scan for stress fractures.
Yeah.
They picked these 5 bowlers, and might be better than me, like Henry Brooks, and they all had stress fractures, all of them. And so
I wonder how they got them stress fractures. The reserves are just going around, just digging them in the back.
And I hadn't done any England stuff. I think I'd done Super 4s, and again done like very just training. Anyway, and then I got this call being like, you were on the reserves and now you're not. And I was like, okay, great. I'll be there.
All right then. Cheers. Can I finish my dinner now?
Yeah. I was at uni. I got back from hockey trials, and like first week at uni, got this call from a number, and it was like, hello, Ethan, this is David Graveney. I was like, shit. Like, hello.
Did I get into the hockey team?
And he was like, yeah, you were on the reserve list. We'd like you to come and join up with the squad. And then I was really lucky. We had a great group, a couple of lads who I'm really close with. Neil Clean was a bowling coach who I got on really well with, and went all right in South Africa, and then went to World Cup. But it was a great experience, and when you're in it, it feels like the whole world is, oh my god, this is like the pinnacle Just the pinnacle of sport. Like,
Yeah.
And actually, yeah, everyone at Middlesex was lovely about it, but it makes zero difference. And being around professional seasoned cricketers, training with them, seeing how they operate, playing against them, playing second team, because second team cricket varies so much. Like playing good second team cricket against gun players when you're 17 is so much better than playing 19s, I think. And that I'm really fortunate that I had that experience, because it is surreal. It's like, you know, you go to Queenstown, you get all the stash, everything done for you. You want to play golf, someone books it. Like it's almost a bit uncomfortable. Like it's kind of like, this is ridiculous. I'm 19. Like I can carry my own bag into the. But I suppose for the people who do play international cricket, it will set them. You know, they'll have an idea. And you see someone like Tom Banton, who's in that team now, where he is just, I mean, that's just extraordinary. Or not extraordinary, but amazing.
Do you keep in touch with anyone from that squad still?
Yes, I'm really close with Dylan Pennington, Adam Finch, who play at Worcester, a few other lads at Hampshire and stuff who like we play against a lot on the circuit, and it was really nice for that reason as well.
I was about to say that, you know, taking away from anything, obviously the honour of representing your country is obviously going to tick a huge box. It's going to highlight and give you a taste of what, you know, potential future opportunities might bring. But I think having that togetherness and, you know, building potential friendships that you can actually rely on, that other people are still going to be going through, regardless of that your club or not. You know, you've got a list of players where you could be like, you just to pick the phone up to and talk to about situations that other people might not understand.
And it was fantastic, and I'll always hold on to it, I think, because I've never ever been so nervous as before the Australia quarterfinal. We didn't get to the final, ever, because like you know, playing on TV against Australia is like, I've never ever been so nervous. I probably never will be, and that was just like because it was the first taste of that.
Yeah. And it's a big taste to have as well in terms of in that environment, but it's a part of the bigger picture and the learning curve, and like I say, there's skills you develop from that. But
it does with time. I think it settles into its place, which is as a really good experience, and it probably didn't make me a much better cricketer. Probably just made me better at getting ready to be a cricketer, if that makes any sense.
So really, I really like that mentality that it opened your eyes.
I didn't. If anything, I would say my skills regressed a bit because I like started falling off it because I was trying to push of it. Like, it wasn't that. I wasn't in the system that long. Like, Max Holden was at Middlesex, who's awesome, and but he was in that system for ages, and stands by. That's one of the reasons he is where he is today. And
did he get a Lions call up? I think he did. Didn't
he? Oh, he's top draw.
Yeah. But I think there's an awareness that you're talking about there, and you know, just to highlight about, it's not always about the physical attributes, about situations or opportunities. You know, if it just taking away a few of those ideas or those concepts that you're talking about, that's only going to hold you in good stead for what's pushed you forward or what you've kind of gone through over the next 2-3 years. So there's no, you know, regardless of anything, there's never a wasted trip or a wasted tour.
No.
You just learn different aspects, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. You take bits, and there'll be bits that I draw on from that I don't even realise I'm drawing on from that.
Exactly that.
It's interesting because that applies across all levels, doesn't it? That applies across all levels, because when you're first young and you're playing Colts cricket and you get your first experience of adult cricket, when you come back to Colts cricket without even realising, you have more of a maturity about yourself and your game in most cases. And that's obviously how you've taken it. You've gone away, you've got the experiences of being in that environment, of being like sort of weighted on hand and foot. You've been treated like a professional, and it sets you up. Because I imagine it with some players, it can give them that incentive, right? I've had a little bit of this now. Now I want this. This is how much I want something like this. Because it's everything, like you say, the impact they can make. Coaches can't make that massive impact in a short period of time, and actually probably don't need to. They're probably, like you say, it's refining points with your game, if anything.
Yeah, and just like prepping you up, and
Exactly. So actually, the experience of being in that environment, of being treated like a professional, because that is what it is. It's preparing. Like, I love the way you put that, preparing you to be a professional cricketer. and that's great. That's really interesting. I'm wary of the time going on a bit. It's been a fantastic chat so far. But I just wanted to bring up, what does, in your mind, what's the future like for you? What's the plan? So I know it's hard to make too many plans. You're just sort of waiting for the opportunity and take it. But have you got any plans traveling abroad to play anywhere, or?
Yeah, I've got an IPL contract actually. They're starting a junior one, yeah, for under 12.
For the under 12, so
you can't grow your beard. You can't grow your beard over quarantine. Then you got to get into the under 12s one.
No, it's, no plans in terms of traveling abroad. I'm not sure. Something about the season being good. Hello.
Oh yeah, so the signal went for a second. I think you're back in. I think you'll be back in a sec. Try again.
Something about the possibility of like. Hello.
Oh, sorry guys. Apologies if the signal's dropping out for you guys. Oh right, you're back now. You're moving again.
No. You're back.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Sorry.
Well, I can hear you.
Okay, so something came out about the possibility of like the season being extended and played Dubai and stuff. So I'm not really. Should I flip onto my phone because my Wi-Fi is rubbish? It might be that. Or have you got?
That's right. I mean, you're good now. You're good. If it drops out again and it goes bad, drop back onto the phone. But
yeah, and so I'm not sure. Like, if that weren't to happen, maybe I'd look to. I was about going away actually because there's some stuff I wanted to do physically and things here and have a proper winter after I've left uni, just training. But obviously, if we haven't played, that may be different. I think for me, my goal is to nail down a spot in that first team for sure.
Yeah,
that has to be my focus. And yeah,
in that environment, I think if you can nail down a spot in that Middlesex first team in any of the 3 formats, then you perform for a short period of time. That scope to go and represent your country is massively there, and that's actually the reason being is because you talk about the normality of Lords. When you put yourself in that environment with the players that Middlesex have on a regular basis, it sets you in such good stead for the future. But no, it's been great talking to you. I don't know if Buzz got a question, but I want to finish with one of mine.
No, it's perfect. The one
I was going to say is, what bit of advice have you been given before from someone that's really stuck with you? And if you were to give advice to someone, would it be that advice, or would you have something else that you would give?
I know you told me to think about it, and
I told you. Think about it.
I don't know. I've been asked this a few times, and people are often surprised because I normally give the same answer. And it's something. I guess it's a synthesis of like a conversation I had a lot with my brother, and I've had a lot with my brother. And it's probably not what people want to hear or what they're going to expect.
Mate, it's your advice. There's no right or wrong answer. Cricket's not about being right or wrong.
Which, if you decide that it's something you want to do, make sure that is what you want to do. And there's nothing wrong with it's a massive sacrifice, and it's a massive change from playing because you love it to playing because that's what you want to do. And there's a whole heap of things that have to realign once you make that decision. I just think my advice would be really comfortable with that. And if you have doubts, talk to people about it, because it's not a weakness to be like, actually, I've played cricket all my life or whatever, but I don't know if I want to do that, because it means not going out sometimes. It means X, Y, it means no summer holidays. And that may sound kind of flippant or like guru-y, or I'm not sure.
Not at all. It's honesty.
It's a big thing, and it's the most fantastic, rewarding decision that I've made. But I would just be really, really clear about it.
Make sure the juice is worth the squeeze. Basically, just it's having.
And there is the title. Make sure the juice is worth the squeeze. But Ethan, thank you so much, buddy, for coming on. It's been, I've absolutely loved talking. And actually, I could have carried on talking for another hour easily.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, Buzz, we didn't get to talk about uni or anything.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean,
that's coming for the next episode with you.
Yeah,
you'll be back
exactly
on.
That. No, the one thing that I would just highlight to you, and I've got no shame in saying this, in terms of yourself as a person, both as a player and just off the field, I cannot speak highly enough of yourself. There's not many people that you come across that from a pro athlete kind of sense. I know you'll never see yourself as that because the modesty and how humble you are. But I can only, and I speak for the numerous people that have met you, success will come your way because of how hard you put it in. And I only wish that for you, mate. It's, thank you so much for doing this and for your time. But, like I say, it's unbelievable to get to speak to you like this and just to pick your brain. And thank you for your honesty and some of the answers that you said today.
No, thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're too nice. You're too nice. But guys, as always, I can guarantee this now. We will do another episode with Ethan in the future because there's a lot more stuff that we'd like to discuss. And when we can actually reflect on a season of cricket, when we've actually had some stuff, potentially be a bit different. And maybe if we ever meet up in person,
I was going to say,
we maybe do some videos together for the channels. We both got channels as well. We run as coaching businesses. So.
Okay. Awesome.
But no, Ethan, have a great lockdown, mate. Hopefully it's not too boring for you. Stay safe, stay well. I for one will certainly be tracking your progress when we get back outdoors. So I look forward to seeing that. Buzz, absolute pleasure as always, mate.
Yeah, it's been spot on. For anyone that wants to ask Ethan or ask us any further questions, you can do that on boundary2boundary@hotmail.com. If we're on YouTube, you can stick in the comments below, or like Dave said, you can direct message us through Top Cricket Academy or Buzz About Cricket. What we'll do, Ethan, we'll put up your social media tags.
You pointed off the camera. You're like that.
Or we'll just filter it along there. So any information, I'm sure Ethan will spend some time in just answering any questions that pop through to him. But mate,